So we're on, oh, Krishna. We're on text 22 of the first chapter. This is the answers to all the questions, divinity and divine service. This is after this really nectar sequence of text on night. I think 16 through 21 are some of the best verses in the Bhagavatam. It just explains in a nutshell the last few verses. You didn't hear the last one, Alan, but I sent you the video.
I watched it
with Zoe. Yeah. So anyway, this one is I'll just read Sanskrit and it's normal synonyms and translation. And Alan, since you were the first one on, you can read the first paragraph. Atovai kaviyo nityam bhaktim paramaya mudha Vasudev Bhagavati Kurvanti Atma Prasadinam. Synonyms: ata, therefore, by, certainly, kavaya, all transcendentalists, nityam, from time immemorial, bhaktim, the service unto the Lord, paramaya, supreme, mudha, with great delight, Vasudev, Sri Krishna, Bhagavati, the personality of Godhead, Kurvanti, do render Atma self, prasadinam, that which enlivens. Translation: certainly, therefore, since time immemorial, all transcendentalists have been rendering devotional service to Lord Krishna, the personality of Godhead, with great delight, because such devotional service is enlivening to the self. Go ahead, Al.
The purport is the specialty of devotional service unto the personality of Godhead, Lord Sri Krishna, is specifically mentioned herein. Lord Sri Krishna is the Vayam Rupa, personality of Godhead, and all other forms of Godhead, beginning with Sri Baladeva, Sankarsana, Vasudeva. I can't pronounce the other two.
Aniruddha, Pradyumna, and Narayan.
Yeah, Narayan.
And extending to the Purusha avatars, Guna avatars, Leela avatars, Yuga avatars.
Yeah. And many other thousands of manifestations of the personality of Godhead, our Lord Sri Krishna, plenary portions and integrated parts. The living entities are separate parts and parcels of the personality of Godhead. Therefore, Lord Sri Krishna is the original form of Godhead, and he is the last word in the transcendence. Therefore, thus he is more attractive to the higher transcendentalists who participate in the eternal pastimes of the Lord in forms of the personality of Godhead other than Sri Krishna and Baladeva. There is no facility for intimate personal contact as in the transcendental pastimes of the Lord at
Rajabhumi.
The transcendental pastimes of Lord Sri Krishna are not newly accepted as argued, but some less intelligent people. His pastimes are eternal and are manifested in due course once in a day, Brahmaji, as the sun rises on the eastern horizon at the end of every 24 hours.
Yeah,
yes, it does. Yes, it does.
Brahma's 24 hours is approximately 4,300,000,000 years.
Wow.
So that's how often Krishna descends to this material world. So, text 23. Sattva rajas tama iti prakritir gunastar yukta para purusha eka ihasya datte stiti adahaye hari virinchi hari samya Shriyamsi tatra kalo sattva tanarninam syu. Synonyms: sattvam, goodness; raja, passion; tama, the darkness of ignorance, et, thus; prakriti, of the material nature; guna, qualities; tai, by them; yukta, associated with; para, transcendental; purusha, the personality; eka, one; ihasya, of this material world; date, except; stiti, adaye, for the creation of matter, maintenance and destruction, etc. Hari, Vishnu, the personality of Godhead, Virinchi, Brahma, Hara, Lord Shiva. Itis, thus, Samgya, different features, Shriyamsi, ultimate benefit. Tatra, therein, Kalo, of course, Sattva, goodness, Tano, form, Nrinam, of the human being, Syu, derived. Translation, the transcendental personality of Godhead is indirectly associated with the three modes of material nature, namely passion, goodness, and ignorance. And just for the material world's creation, maintenance, and destruction, he accepts the three qualitative forms of Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva. Of these three, all human beings can derive ultimate benefit from Vishnu, the form of the quality of goodness. This is a long paragraph. You can read it, Zoe.
Okay. That Lord Sri Krishna, by his plenary parts, should be rendered devotional service as explained above, is confirmed by this statement. Lord Sri Krishna and all his plenary parts are Vishnu Tattva, or the Lordship of Godhead. From Sri Krishna, the next manifestation is Baladeva. Baladeva is Sankarshana. From Sankarshana is Naranya. From Naranya, there is the second Sankarshana. And from this Sankarshana, the Vishnu Purusha Avataras. The Vishnu or the deity of the quality of goodness in the material world is the Purusha Avatara, known as
Kiradakshai Vishnu.
Kiradakshai Vishnu, or Paramatma. Brahma is the deity of Rajas, passion, and Shiva of ignorance. They are the three departmental heads of the three qualities of this material world. Creation is made possible by Brahma's quality of passion in his endeavor. It is maintained by the goodness of Vishnu, and when it requires to be destroyed, Lord Shiva does it by Tanda Van Ritra. The materialists and the foolish human beings worship Brahma and Shiva respectively, but the pure transcendentalists worship the form of goodness, Vishnu, in his various forms. Vishnu is manifested by his millions and billions of integrated forms and separated forms. The integrated forms are called Godhead, and the separated forms are called the living entities, or the jivas. Both the jivas and Godhead have their original spiritual forms. Jivas are sometimes subjected to the control of material energy, but the Vishnu forms are always controllers of this energy. When Vishnu, the personality of Godhead, appears in the material world, he comes to deliver the conditioned living beings who are under the material energy. Such living beings appear in the material world with intentions of being lords, and thus they become entrapped by the three modes of nature. As such, the living entities have to change their material coverings for undergoing different terms of imprisonment. Sorry, just trying to see where I was.
The prison house.
Yes, okay. The prison house of the material world is created by Brahma under the instruction of the personality of Godhead. In the conclusion of a kalpa, the whole thing is destroyed by Shiva. But as far as maintenance of the prison house is concerned, is done by Vishnu, as much as the state prison house is maintained by the state. Anyone, therefore, who wishes to get out of this prison house of material existence, which is full of miseries like repetition of birth, death, disease, and old age, must please Lord Vishnu for such liberation. Lord Vishnu is worshipped by devotional service only, and if anyone has to continue prison life in the material world, he may ask for relative facilities for temporary relief from the different demigods like Shiva, Brahma, Indra, and Varuna. No demigod, however, can release the imprisoned living being from the conditioned life of material existence. This can be done only by Vishnu. Therefore, the ultimate benefit may be derived from Vishnu, the personality of Godhead.
Yeah, Kalpa, I believe, is just one day of Brahma, and there's a partial devastation of the universe every day of Brahma. But then at the end of Brahma's life, that's, however many days, he lives for 100 years, 365 days a year. So that's 311 trillion years total. So at the end of that, that's like a Maha Yuga, and then everything is destroyed in the whole universe, and then all the living beings, all living entities are merged into the body of Narayan. He sleeps on the ocean in Yoga Nidra, and then he wakes up, and the whole process is started again. He feels separation from, he feels like, I want to enjoy with, just like a sleeping husband wants to wake up his wife for enjoyment. So similarly, Krishna feels separation from his parts and parcels, and so he creates a material world in order for them to become he's always enjoying in the spiritual world, but he wants to bring back all these living entities that are, so he gets them facility according to their desire in this material world, which is a prison house, like it said. It's kind of a prison house, and that maintenance of the prison house is done by Vishnu. Brahma creates the prison house according to the desires of the living entities. We get what we want. If we want to enjoy separately from Krishna, he'll make this prison house, and you can act out our fantasy of being the head of the prison house, the king of hell, which is basically what this place is. It's because it's temporary and miserable. Krishna certifies this place as a Dukkaliyam asasvatam. Dukkha means unhappy. Dukkaliyam, miserable, and ashashvatam, temporary. So those two things, it's not a very nice place. It's not our original home. So, but we want to enjoy separately from Krishna. So Krishna doesn't interfere with our desires. He actually creates this material world just because of our stupid desires to enjoy separately from him. But he never leaves us here just with our own devices to suffer repeated birth and death without, giving us instructions in the form of these scriptures, in the form of the Bhagavatam and the Śrīmad and the Bhagavad Gita, and so we can get out of this cycle of birth and death by, listening to these things and chanting the holy names and associating with devotees so that we can get released from the prison. And not just like it says, if you want temporary relief, you can get a better prison cell. Just like, if Donald Trump goes to prison, he'll probably get a first class cell somewhere. But a sane person, and he'll think maybe that's just so nice, maybe I'm in like a perfect situation, if you get a better prison cell. But actually a sane person will want to get out of prison altogether. You won't want to be entangled in this repeated hellish existence of birth and death and disease and old age, which everyone has to suffer in this material world. And if you want to get released from that, you have to please Vishnu. Everything has to be offered to Vishnu. We have to worship and love Lord Vishnu, Lord Krishna. And by doing that, he will reciprocate with us and bring us back to his abode, because he wants all the living entities just to engage in his happy pastimes. It's like he dances with the gopis. He wants us to dance with him as well. So he's begging us to come back to the spiritual world, but we're so stubborn. We want to enjoy our senses in this material world. And it's really pretty stupid, because there is no enjoyment here in this material world. So anyway, that's my rant for the day. Text 24. Pratidvad durno dumas tasmadangnis taimi maya. Amasas tu rajas tasmat sattvam yad brahmadarshanam. Synonyms. Partitvat, from earth, daruna, firewood, duma, smoke. Yes, tasmat, from that, agni, fire. Tai, Vedic sacrifices, maya, made of tamasa, in the mode of ignorance, to but raja, the mode of passion, tasmat, from that, sattvam, the mode of goodness, yet which Brahma, the absolute truth, darshanam, realization. Translation: firewood is the transformation of earth, but smoke is better than raw wood, and fire is still better. So, for by fire, one can derive the benefits of superior knowledge through Vedic sacrifices. See, the fire is compared to Vedic sacrifice because you get, you offer the flame of the fire when you're offering anything to Krishna, to Vishnu. Fire is like the tongue of Vishnu. So that's compared to, and through those sacrifices, you get knowledge. Similarly, passion, rajas, is better than ignorance, tamas, but goodness, sattva, is best, because by goodness, one can come to realize the absolute truth. Okay, you can read the first paragraph, Alan, and then we'll take turns.
As explained above, one can get released from the conditioned life of material existence by devotional service to the personality of Godhead. It is further comprehended herein that one has to rise to the platform of the mode of goodness, which is sattva, so that one can be eligible for the devotional service of the Lord. But if there are impediments on the progressive path, anyone, even from the platform of tamas, can gradually rise to the sattva platform by the expert direction of the spiritual master. Sincere candidates must therefore approach an expert spiritual master for such a progressive march, and a bona fide expert spiritual master is competent to direct the disciple from any stage of life, tamas, rajas, or sattvas. It is a
Sattva. Hey,
sattva.
yeah, hey, Alan, you said you might be interested in getting a spiritual master, right?
I'm still
You're still thinking about it. Yeah,
how it works out.
it's actually, you know, if you find somebody that most clearly represents Krishna, can see Krishna through him, you know, he's like, spiritual master is like the transparent via medium. You can see clearly Krishna through that person. That person who most clearly represents Krishna to you, that's your spiritual master. You can pick that person, and he also, there's a test, you know, for a disciple. You have to be a bona fide disciple. You have to be submissive. You have to learn. You have to hear submissively and intently and follow his instructions and serve him. And then at that point, he may accept you as a disciple. And then you're connected with Krishna at that point, because I mean, we're all connected to Krishna, but when you have the shelter of a spiritual master, that is your link. You know, it's like you're hooked up, you know, to Krishna at that point.
Let's talk more about that.
It's absolutely necessary for any human being to have contact with a spiritual master, because that's the only way that you can actually be trained to understand who is God. You know, Krishna says, whoever claims to be my devotee, he's not my devotee. But who claims to be my devotee, a devotee of my devotee, he's my devotee. So you have to be worshiping the devotee of Krishna in order to understand Krishna. Krishna, it's like, you know, if you approach a really powerful person and you know, you give the guy, his kid, a piece of candy, or you pet his dog, and he'll say, oh, that's nice, you know. And so you'll gain his favor in that way. So Krishna, you know, the spiritual master is like the dog of God, you know. So if you're nice to his dog, then maybe the master will be nice to you. So that's the same kind of, you know, relationship. First, you have to please the devotee. Without the grace of the spiritual master, no one can make any advancement. It says in the Guru Vastakam prayers, it says, but only by the mercy of the spiritual master can one attain the mercy of Krishna. Without the grace of the spiritual master, no one can make any advancement. Anyway, go ahead with the second paragraph. So
It is a mistake, therefore, to consider that worship of any quality or any form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is equally beneficial. Except Vishnu, all separated forms are manifested under conditions of material energy, and therefore the forms of material energy cannot help anyone to rise to the platform of sattva, which alone can liberate a person from material bondage.
okay, go ahead, Alan, again.
The uncivilized state of life, or the life of the lower animals, is controlled by the mode of tamas. The civilized life of man, with a passion for various types of material benefits, is the stage of rajas. The rajas stage of life gives a slight clue to the realization of the absolute truth in the forms of fine sentiments in philosophy, art, and culture, with moral and ethical principles. But the mode of sattva is a still higher stage of material quality, which actually helps one in realizing the absolute truth. In other words, there is a qualitative difference between the different kinds of worshiping methods, as well as the respective results derived from the predominating deities, namely Brahma, Vishnu, and Hara.
Yeah, the sattva is the mode of goodness. Now that's still material mode, though. There's goodness, passion, and ignorance. And each quality has its own different characteristics, but you should be in the mode of goodness, because that's like a springboard into the mode of transcendental goodness. Suda-sattva. Suda means transcendental. And when you're in the mode of goodness, you can actually understand who Krishna is. All these other modes, in the mode of passion, you're so like dedicated to working, or have all kinds of material desires. In the mode of ignorance, you just don't care. You just sleep, and you're crazy half the time, and you don't have any motivating factors. In the mode of passion, you have all kinds of motivation, and you might be able to understand some more finer intellectual concepts, like philosophy and art and culture and science and whatever. But if you're in the mode of goodness, then you can actually be the mode of pure goodness is accessible from that stage, and you can understand concepts like Raman. The concept of Raman is, my speaker just went up. Okay, but anyway, I guess I will read the. Hold on a second. Let me check my speaker here. That's not working. Anyway, I'll just use my computer speaker. Text 25. Bhajire Muneyo Tyagre Bhagavantam Adhoksajam Sattvam Visudam Kshemaya Kalpante Yenutaniha. Synonyms: Bhajire, rendering service unto; Munaya, the sages; Ata, thus; Agre, previously; Bhagavantam, unto the personality of Godhead; Adhoksajam, the transcendence; Sattvam, existence; Visudam, above the three modes of nature; Kshemaya, to derive the ultimate benefit; Kalpante, deserve; yea, those; Anu, follow; Te, tan, those; Iha, in this material. Translation: previously, all the great sages rendered service unto the personality of Godhead due to his existence above the three modes of material nature. They worship him to become free from material conditions and thus derive the ultimate benefit. Whoever follows such great authorities is also eligible for liberation from the material world. Go ahead, Zoe.
Okay, translation. Previously, all the great sages rendered service unto
I
the
just read that.
I'm
You just
sorry.
read it.
I'm okay. Sorry about that.
No
The
problem.
purpose of performing religion is neither to profit by material gain, nor to get the simple knowledge of discerning matter from spirit. The ultimate aim of religious performances is to release oneself from material bondage and regain the life of freedom in the transcendental world, where the personality of Godhead is the supreme person. Laws of religion, therefore, are directly enacted by the personality of Godhead, and except for the Mahajanas, or the authorized agents of the Lord, no one knows the purpose of religion. There are 12 particular agents of the Lord who know the purpose of religion, and all of them render transcendental service unto him. Persons who desire their own good may follow these Mahajanas and thus attain the supreme benefit.
So the Mahajans are great personalities. There's 12 of them. One of them's Narada Muni, the transcendental spaceman. The other one is Prahlad Maharaj, and there's Bhishma. He's a grandfather in the Pandavas. There's several others, but these are the people that know the conclusion, the essence of the religion as taught by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. These are called Mahajans. They're, great authorities of our tradition, our religion. They know the purpose of religion. And if one wants to know about the purpose of religion, then you have to render service to and follow these Mahajans in order to come to the same conclusion. Because you have to follow these people, because, being absorbed in this knowledge, you have to repeatedly hear from it. Otherwise, we can't speculate about it. We can't figure it out ourselves. We have to become absorbed in the knowledge of Godhead, because all that they're talking about is Krishna, and Krishna is describing himself through them. And so when we listen through hearing and chanting and reading and serving and praying and all the different 9 processes of devotional service, then we become absorbed in service to Krishna, and we develop attraction and service and a taste for that service. And the more we become absorbed in that, then the more Krishna will reveal himself. And when he's pleased, he'll reveal himself to us more and more through these. By pleasing the spiritual master, one pleases all of the representatives, all the way back, all the gurus, from time immemorial. Everything's connected. Krishna's not alone. He's with all his devotees. And so we have to be very careful and conduct ourselves as if Krishna is right in front of us, because he is. And, Emerson said, God comes to see us without a bell. You don't have to ring a bell. Krishna's already there in our heart. He knows everything. And if we pay attention to him, though, and if we take a step toward him, he'll take 10 steps toward us. He can give you as much as you can handle. And, anything that's good for you, he'll give you, but we have to want it. We have to want to reciprocate with him and please him, because that's the goal of life. Text 26. Mumukshavo garo rupan hitva bhutapati niha narayana kalashanta bhajanti hi anusuyava. Synonyms. Mukshava, persons desiring liberation. Gora, horrible, ghastly. Rupan, forms like that. Hitva, rejecting. Bhuta Patin, demigods. Atta, for this reason. Narayan, the personality of Godhead. Kala, plenary portions. Shanta, all blissful. Bhajanti, do worship he, certainly. Anasuyava, non-envious. Translation. Those who are serious about liberation are certainly non-envious, and they respect all. Yet they reject the horrible and ghastly forms of the demigods and worship only the all blissful forms of Lord Vishnu and his plenary portions. Like some of these demigods, like Kali is like horrible, like they're when Bharat Maharaj, they were going to sacrifice this one Brahmana, and these dacoits wanted to sacrifice them in front of Kali. Kali's like a goddess, she's one of the punishers, but she got pissed because she's actually a devotee of God too. And so she, with her little demoniac demonesses, they took the swords of all the dacoits and that were going to sacrifice, they make a human sacrifice, and they cut off their heads and started playing with them and drinking their blood. So that's pretty ghastly.
Yes.
So, but there are different forms of the demigods, and some of them are ghastly and horrible. But the plenary portions of Vishnu and Vishnu himself and his incarnations are all pretty beautiful. Of course, Krishna is the most beautiful. That's why his name is Krishna, which means all attractive. Go ahead, Alan. You can read that. We got about 3.5 minutes left.
The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, who is the original person of the Vishnu categories, expands himself in 2 different categories, namely integrated plenary portions and separated parts and parcels. The separated parts and parcels are the servitors, and the integrated plenary portions of Vishnu Tattvas are the worshipable objects of the service.
Okay, go ahead, Rizzo.
All demigods who are empowered by the Supreme Lord are also separated parts and parcels. They do not belong to the category of Vishnu Tattva. The Vishnu Tattvas are living beings equally as powerful as the original form of the personality of Godhead. They display different categories of power and consideration of different times and circumstances. The separated parts and parcels are powerful by limitation. They do not have unlimited power like the Vishnu Tattvas. Therefore, one should never classify the Vishnu Tattvas or the plenary portions of Narayana, personality of Godhead, in the same categories with the parts and parcels. If anyone does so, he becomes at once an offender, by the name Prashandi. In the age of Kali, many foolish persons commit such unlawful offenses and equalize the 2 categories.
Yeah, demigods are never considered to be in the same, or human beings are never considered to be the same category as Vishnu. And I'll just read this last paragraph, and then I'll cut for the last minute for questions. The separated parts and parcels have different portions in the estimation of material powers, and some of them are like Kala Bhairava, Smasana Bhairava, Shani, Mahakali, and Chandika. These demigods are worshipped mostly by those who are in the lowest categories in the mode of darkness or ignorance. Other demigods like Brahma, Shiva, Surya, Ganesh, and many similar deities are worshipped by men in the mode of passion, urged on by the desire for material enjoyment. But those who are actually situated in the mode of goodness, Sattva Gun, of material nature, worship only Vishnu Tattva. Vishnu Tattva is represented by various names and forms such as Narayan, Damodar, Vamana, Govinda, and Nitoksaja. Anybody have any questions? We got a minute and 20 seconds left.
Isn't Kali Krishna himself?
No, Kali is a separated. She's there to punish the living entities. Actually, Kali is worshipped by the Chandalas, the meat eaters, and the wine drinkers and stuff. They offer her meat and wine, and she's kind of a. But she's also a devotee.
Yeah, and what about the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam? Isn't he one too? Because of what he had to do.
No, he's not. He's a Vishnu Tattva. He's Vishnu.
What? Yeah, like how he had to rip the guts out of that one.
Yeah, but just because he did that doesn't mean he's ghastly.
Oh, okay, just okay. Because
that's just a material consideration. Actually, devotees think he's beautiful. All the blood on his mane and the intestines around his neck—that's beautiful for a devotee. Anyway, I'll have to stop here, but thank you very much for attending, and we'll see you next.
Thank you.
Thanks, Alan.
Bye.